Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Payne's Education. This is our beginner intermediate class, a class we always will have on Wednesday mornings. See, I'm messing it up already, aren't I here? Wednesday mornings at this time. Glad to have you all on board. My name's Gary Edmonds. I will be your host and instructor for this today, as I have been for the last 3 months. As you know, you veterans know, and I'll let you newer folks know about this. We cycle through this beginner intermediate class for each quarter, right? And then we just kind of go and follow along the material that you're learning and the material that you're going over and covering in the Payne's Education website to help you get feeling a little bit more comfortable with things that you are doing. And so we rotate these classes every quarter. So as I'm just going to point this out, you probably already know this, but this will be our last class for the beginner intermediate this year, believe it or not. We will not be having the beginner intermediate next week because we will have a very light schedule in between the Christmas and New Year's. So we will pick this class back up on the first week of January, and Rob Weiler will be the one taking over and doing it for that quarter. So just get yourself prepared for that. He does a fantastic job, and you certainly will enjoy Rob as he goes through these things. And I will be graduating to the intermediate advanced class, and I'll be rotating that with Greg Edwards every other week there. Okay. But before we do jump in and get talking today about our topic, let's go over our disclosures. Remember, this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. All investments involve risk, and past performance of anything in the market does not guarantee future results. Unstoppable Prosperity and Charles Payne are not giving investment, tax, legal, or other professional advice. No one associated with Payne's Education are licensed, so we cannot and do not give recommendations to buy or sell anything. If you see something you like in one of our classes, please make sure you do your own research and analysis on it to see how it fits your investing strategy. Unstoppable Prosperity retains all titles, interests, and intellectual property rights to the material provided and may not be used without express written consent. The terms Unstoppable Prosperity, Payne's Education, Wall Street Strategies, and other marks and logos displayed on his websites and other communications may not be used without express written consent. Charles Payne's experiences are not typical. His results are not a guarantee of your success. Unstoppable Prosperity is not endorsed by or affiliated with Fox Business. Making Money with Charles Payne is the property of Fox News Network, LLC. All right, folks. There's me. Most of you know me pretty well. And if you're newer, you'll get to know us instructors very, very well as you continue to come to the classes and just basically get your fill of the education. So glad to have all of you on board here. All right, so our class today, what we're going to be going over is basically routines. Okay, now this is something that does get a little bit overlooked. It could be something that you're already doing without realizing that you're doing it. But we do need to have some kind of process, some kind of, yeah, even if you want to write it down, that would be fantastic. But some process that you are going to be doing based off of a daily routine. What will you do each day as you are going to look to do something for your investing or your trading routine? What you might be doing on that particular day. Then you might want to have a weekly routine. And then, that's just basically going to be going along the lines of, certain things that might take a little bit longer period of time for you to do. So you wouldn't want to do this necessarily on a daily type of a scenario. And then we have our monthly routines, and monthly routines are something that could take a lot more time, and so therefore we might not be doing this either on a weekly or a daily routine, because folks, the whole reason that we have routines is to help us kind of streamline our process and our time management and what we're doing and how much time we're really spending on the things that we're doing with our own investing. Because sometimes I'm guilty of this myself. I get caught up in it, and it's just fun, and I love to do it. I love doing things with the market, and so sometimes I'll start doing something, and it's been a couple hours. I'm just like, holy cow, right? So that's fine. But what we really want to do is the necessity things. We want to make sure that those are done in a very timely manner, and we're not spending so much time on the necessities, and that if we wanted to spend luxury time, or just our a time that we just want to fill up the day with, we can do it with parts of the things in the market that we're really enjoying to do. Okay, so this is what we're going to be going over now, folks. I'm going to ask you this: why have routines? Okay, I want to ask you, and so I want to see why you think. Now, no, before timeout, stop. Boop, but how many here actually think? Thank you, Steve. Think that you have routines right now? How many of you think that you have routines and are you using routines? Okay, some yes, sort of. Do not. Okay. Yes, sometimes. Okay. No, yes, sort of. I do sometimes. Okay. More or less. I love the ones that say, yeah, I have routines, but sometimes I do them. Is that a routine? Well, maybe not, right? Unless your routine is for some time. Okay. But then again, it creatures a habit, JP. All right. I like that. So Crystal says, yeah, with ADD, it's hard. It certainly can be. And then that's kind of why I mentioned just at the beginning with this topic is maybe we have routines that we don't know we have routines. That maybe we don't really know that we're doing, but we're kind of doing the same thing each time we open our account or we look at something or something along this line. Houses, dogs keep her on track. Okay. So so this is what's going to be important. So again, kind of going back, why do we have routines? Some of you have already mentioned it, but again, helps with stress and anxiety, right? If you're doing something that you just might have a little, that you're not quite comfortable with, or you're still uneasy about doing something, or it just looks like it's daunting and overwhelming, or you feel like you don't have enough time to do it, but it helps you kind of reduce that stress, reduce that anxiety that you might have with the whole process. And Gil says it takes the emotions out of investing. Absolutely. Betsy says it's discipline. You got that right. So that's what it is doing. So it does give you a consistency with your process. Okay. Now, this is something that that does happen to me, right? I mean, folks, you have routines with pretty much everything that you're doing in your life, right? You get up in the morning. You have a routine when you get up in the morning, right? What is the things that you do? You're getting ready for the day, right? And sometimes you're just doing these. A lot of the times you're just doing these things unconsciously because you've done it so much. It's just a habit. But how many of you have ever gotten like in your routine in the morning, getting ready, whatever it is, showering and brushing your teeth, getting deodorant on, or whatever it is? How many of you have kind of been in the middle of the process of you getting ready, and you get distracted by something? Maybe you get a phone call or something happens in the other room, and it takes your attention away from your routine or what you were doing subconsciously, right? You're just kind of doing it, going through it. And then once you take care of whatever that distraction was, you finish getting ready. And then sometimes you go, oh, I do this when I get distracted. I'm like, uh-oh, did I like put deodorant on this morning? Okay. Right. I mean, it's just like, oh my goodness, because I got out of my routine, and then it causes me to kind of skip some things, or maybe don't remember where I left off, and picking back up the process again, right? So this happens a lot, or maybe you're making breakfast and you get distracted and you forget to I don't know, add salt, or you added salt and you forgot you added salt to your cooking and you added more salt or something like that, right? So it does it distractions happen, and so we don't want this distraction to happen as as you are trying to do your trading. Okay. The routine went out the window when I retired, said Jim. Well, so what we need to do is build more routines, right? Especially with our trading. Short-term memory fades as you get older. Alice says that's something to that, right? But so we want to be consistent. We want to make sure that we have this process with our trading, because we don't want to forget something or miss something, especially when we're doing things in the market. See, and if that does happen, then we kind of go back. We're like, oh my goodness, what? Why did I miss this? Whether it was something that you wanted to enter or something that you needed to exit, and that you're looking at it in hindsight and going, oh my goodness, I missed it. Something happened. I was distracted, or I just didn't have a good routine to allow me to do it. It does allow you to have better time management. Okay. Now, I want to ask this. When everybody, when you first got started with well, the education here and trading in the market, how many of you just realized or noticed that when you started into it, it took a lot of time? And Mark says, now I'm consistently inconsistent. Yeah, how many of you just doing all this stuff and it's like, oh, it's a lot. It's taking a lot of time, right? Why? Why did it take a lot of time when you first got started? Yeah, Pat, it's new. Crystal, it's taken a massive amount of time, but I'm learning a lot. Well, fantastic. Scott, 9 days in, so it's a little overwhelming. Well, Scott, welcome. Glad to have you on board. A lot to learn, steep learning curve. I feel I have a hard time keeping up, Catherine said. Okay. Now, as for those of you now who are not 9 days into it, but have been with it for a little bit longer, how many of you felt like, well, okay, it's not quite so overwhelming, and now I'm not spending quite as much time, even though you're spending time, I'm not maybe spending quite as much time as looking at my account, trying to find some things that I need to do with my account, whether they're entries and exits and things along like helping you know, the search or looking for stocks and things like this, right? So it does get easier, all of you saying, so good. Because again, what happens? Anything new, it takes more time because you're not used to it. But as soon as you start getting used to it and you start to, you know, understand better, then you become better at your time management with it. Okay. Now, let's talk about the routines, and we'll break these up. Let's start off with a daily routine. Okay, what are some of the things that we are wanting to do with our daily routine? Well, basically what coffee says, Steve, you know, got to do that, right? Get the old juices flowing. Now, we need to start with the basics, right? Let's check the markets. Let's check news. Maybe if you see something in the market makes a big move one direction or the other, right? Hey, why? Let's look at some news. You know, go to your favorite news sources, whether it's you know, your broker's site, whether it's, you know, some other financial news site that or just news in general that you'd like to go, or TV or whatever it might be. You know, we will go and check those. Now, we want to do this on a daily basis because it gives us kind of the opportunity to get the feel for what's going on and help us kind of gauge what potential things we might be doing based off of our rules with our trading, with our accounts, whether entering, exiting, and things along that line. Okay. Now, with that said, right, we're not going to just sit there and veg and just watch that the whole way, right? We're still going to have some, time limits, time things that we can actually speed up if there's anything that big that we can see driving the markets one way or the other. That's okay, but we want to make sure that part of our daily routine is checking the markets, checking the news, see what's going on, looking at futures. Said Rick. Yep, could be. Next thing you want to do, check your positions. Okay. See if there's anything that you need to do with the positions in your account. Now, again, that could be with your buy and hold, right? Maybe you're not going to do a whole lot with your buy and holds on a daily routine, but you still want to just, look at them, see what's going on with them. Maybe if you're having some shorter term types of trades, such as a trend trade or a swing type of a trade, then you might need to see if there's something that's hitting some sort of exit rule that you have to go ahead and get in or get out, right? Do you need to adjust your targets, or do you need to adjust your stops? Do you have to do something at that point for that particular day? If not, then that's fine, and we move on. Okay, now you also look to see if you have an exit signal. These are things that we don't want to ignore, folks. Regardless if it's an exit because you've made a profit that you're looking for, or an exit because you've lost the amount of money that you were willing to lose at that point in time on the trade. Okay, so this is very important. Then after we've done all this, because you'll notice this is all about the things and the positions that you currently have, then you can start to turn your focus onto new positions that you might be getting into. Okay, so you want to go through your watch list and see whether you have your setups or whether you have your entry points. Okay. Frank says, I look in the morning to see if I'm going to cry that day. Okay. Yeah, that's that's the hallmark of an emotional trader there, Frank. Yes, indeed. All right. So go through your watch list. Then if you have any interest signals, place your trades. If you have any exit signals, again, place those trades, right? You make your decisions on what you're seeing on this daily routine. Now, there might be some things that you might want to add in there, or some things that you might want to spend a little bit more time on, but go ahead and do that. Now, let's so again, what is it? Where might you go? Let me go up here and bring this up. Okay, maybe if you want to look at news, right, you can go to your broker's website, or you can go to other financial websites like Yahoo Finance or Market Watch or something else along that line, and see what's going to be going on, and what might be driving the market at that point in time, or could have an impact on it in a a little bit down the road, right? Sticky inflation, key part of the economy, is the biggest barrier to Fed rate cuts, right? That was the whole talk last week when the Fed came out and said, hey, we're looking at maybe cutting rates 3 times 2024, right? Okay, but there's so it just kind of helps us get a little bit more information on what's going on with it. Doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter where you get your news from. You might have different sites along those things, and that can be very, very helpful. Okay, so however you want to do that, wherever it is, your favorite places to go. Now, so you would check your positions. So what would we do here? What would this look like? So bottom line, let's go to the Thinkorswim Paper Money platform here. Okay, now again, I don't have a lot of positions since the rollover and things along that line. We had some positions in here. We've had some swing trade positions, and fortunately, those swing trade positions, we got out at profits, and so haven't quite replaced them or done anything else along that line, but yeah, what we're going to be doing is taking a look and see what these things are. Now I do have some like option positions going on. It's not going to be that big of a topic for this class, but again, if you have some option trading, you're still going to be watching those and doing some things. But I do have some other things that are going on here, right? So AAON, I have an order to sell with a stop at $75. Okay, so we got in at 64.97. Actually, whoops, excuse me. That's a stock. It's just not a stop. It's just a sell limit. Apologize. So I have a target on here to get out if it hits $75. So right now we got in. It's just a little under $65, and the mark is 73.41. Okay, 73.41. So it's up for the day. But has it hit our target? Has it hit what we were looking for? No, it hasn't. Now, again, if you wanted to come up and pull up and take a peek at the stock on the chart, you certainly could. Now you can see my limits clear up here. It's just off the page a little bit here. I think some things aren't saving on me here. That's a little frustrating and irritating. Let me see if it, no, expansion area, maybe well, not 30. I'm going to go 15, applying. Okay, there we go. So give me a little bit of room up on the top there so we can see a limit right there at $75. I mean, it's looking good, and we got in down here at 64.97. So it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. So nothing for us to change. All right, so we'll go back, monitor tab. AKAM, again, we have a sell order here. We do have a stop at 108.30. Okay, now the stop is basically if the stock goes the opposite direction, instead of making money, it loses money for us. Now, if we take a peek at our position here, okay, I'll just highlight this right here. Okay, we got in at 115.94. Current mark is at 120.18. And it says it haven't made anything today. Okay, AKAM, that's kind of interesting. Usually we'd see something going on here, but again, I'll pull this up on the chart to see what's going on with it. And yeah, it's just kind of sitting there. Hasn't done a whole lot as I zoom in. Now, this is something that we might want to do. Folks, with the price of the stock at 120, we got it at 115.94. We have a stop down here at 108. Would we be willing to allow this stock to drop basically $12 at this point in time? You know, maybe not, right? Depending on the rules that you have for the types of strategies that you would want to try to implement for your own trading, right? So this was kind of more along the lines of I think a trend trade. If we go back to the monitor tab here, let's see, I have some notes on here. Oh, did this in the beginner intermediate class. We did this, was it last week? Yeah, we did, didn't we? Good fundamental trend trade, bounce up off support, no target. Okay, so it was not, we weren't putting a target on, so it wasn't a shorter term swing type of a trade. Okay. So move stop up. So one of the things that you have to do as far as that routine is make sure you have some rules if you are going to move your stop up. Okay, and I'm not going to get into any rules and depth and things along that line, not the purpose of this particular class. But one of the things that you will want to do as far as that is concerned, maybe start to, when the stock starts moving in the direction you want it to move, then start moving your stop based off of whatever it is that you will be using for your exit strategy. So like, again, with my trend trades, I might be using a moving average for setting my stops and moving that stop up as that moving average continues to go up. Now, whether it's 5%, 8%, 10%, 15%, whatever it is that you have below there, then you'd want to do that. Now, in this situation, since it's a trend trade, we don't want to get too antsy. Okay, we don't want to get too nervous and just say, I better move the stop up, because it could be at a resistance level right now and turn and come back down. And as it comes up to the moving average, it might bounce up off there. And if we get a little bit too, skittish about it starting to pull back, we might get stopped out and really affect what we were trying to accomplish with the trade to begin with. All right, so you still would need to make sure that you have your rules in play. At this point in time, right, it hasn't really moved enough for me to move a stop on a trend trade, so I wouldn't do anything with it. Okay, one of my first goals would be to at least be able to move my stop to my break even, or the price that I purchased the stock at. Okay, so so it has to be when the indicator or whatever it is that you might be using to move that stop up gets you at least, I will do it like 1 penny above, I'll move my stop up, boom, to that point. Hasn't done it right now, so we would have nothing to do. Okay, so this is what you would do. Just kind of come through and look at all your things. Costco, when did we do a trade on Costco? We did this on 12/7. When it was 12/7, that was a Thursday. So probably in one of the Q&As that I was teaching on that day. But so I don't have any notes on it. But again, looking at Costco, pretty good profit for us. It's up about 9%. We can pull it up on the chart, and boom, here we go. And yeah, see, this is one of the things where we don't panic, right? Just because the stock's pulling back, we have that trade going on, and as long as it doesn't meet exit criteria, then we will go ahead and let it work for us. Now we've already done a trade on here. Let's see. Oh, I think we did something. Bought and sold the other. What day was that? That was on 12/7. Okay, so probably did something on that day and then sold it, kind of showing how to do something. I would guess, but then got back into it, and now it's running. We're letting it run on here. So more likely to buy and hold trend type of a trade on here. Nothing to do at this point in time with that particular trade. 6/11/19, and it's currently at 665. All right, so again, just kind of showing you the steps, showing you the routines. Now, as you start to do this on a daily basis, folks, you should be able to get through your positions pretty quick, because you already know what's happening, right? You shouldn't come into your positions and ever be surprised at a number that you see there, and just like, oh my goodness, what the heck's going on? Okay, you should never be surprised by that, because if you're looking at it every single day, you'll be on top of it. Okay, makes sense, folks? So right now, Gail says, I'm not buying much. I believe that because 2023 has been a good year, there will not be much year-end tax loss selling. I think investors are waiting until January to harvest gains, which will likely have a downward pressure on stock. So I'm getting ready to buy the dip in fundamentals, industrials, financial. Okay, nope, nothing wrong with that. But there will always be rebalancing and things like that. Okay, so so there we go. Kind of that check your positions. Looking for if we have any exit signals. We looked at this. Now the next thing you do is you go through your watch list. Okay, again, folks, we are looking and searching for stocks and meeting criteria that we want to have and that we need to see in order for it to be in our watch list, right? We just don't want to throw everything and anything in our watch list. We only want to have in our watch list those stocks that are really meeting the criteria that we do have. Okay, so in that scenario, you would, after you checked all your positions, you'd run through that watch list. Now again, my watch lists are kind of gotten deleted here, but you have your watch list, and some people might have multiple watch lists. They might have, 20, 30, 40, 50 stocks in the watch list. That's fine. But as long as you are going through your watch list looking for entry signals on a daily basis, again, that speeds up the process for you because you already know and have a good idea of what's going on with the stocks in your watch list. So it doesn't matter how long. In my real trading accounts, I definitely have my own watch lists that I don't have in my paper trading accounts. And I do have, a couple of watch lists, and I do have about 50, 60 stocks on those multiple watch lists that I go through, about 50, 60 on each watch list. And so in reality, as I'm going through those watch lists every day and looking at them, it only takes me a couple of minutes per watch list. Okay. Only takes a couple minutes per watch list. Why? Because all you're doing is looking to see if you're getting close to an entry signal, or your setup or your entry, and then make the decision if it's time for you to get in. Okay. So Apple, right off the bat. And now if you wanted to have, I've got it on a 1-year chart. Maybe I'll just make it a little bit smaller. Let's go 6 months just so we can see it a little bit easier. But again, 6 months, Apple, if it's on our account, meeting all the criteria, you look at it. Do we have an entry signal? Entry signal. Yeah, we have a bounce up off support, right? We have a hold. You want to see it a little bit closer? Close above the high of the low day. Here's the low day right here. And the high of this day was 196.63. Yesterday, it closed at 196.94. So that met the criteria. And today is just following through. So yeah, we saw that. Boom. That's you should never hesitate if you have an entry signal on a stock that you have in your watch list that you've already done the due diligence and done all of your homework on. So yeah, boom, now we buy it. Okay. But if not, then you would move on and go to the next one. AMD. Do I have a buy signal? No. Okay, why? It's at resistance level. Either look for a break above resistance or have it pull back to a support. So I move on, right? Do I have an entry signal on Boeing? Probably not. Again, kind of looking at resistance level right up there about 265. Nothing happening, nothing exciting about it right now at this point in time. Do I have an entry signal on Delta? Not yet, but it's certainly pulling back. Might be getting a hold. It might be setting up for a hold. I'd keep my eyes on that. Not happening today. Carnival Cruise Lines. Is there an entry signal on it? Not right now, especially not with an earnings announcement coming up. Okay, this is something that we're going to be definitely looking at. Earnings announcement coming up tomorrow. It'd be kind of silly for us to get into it today, again, unless you're wanting to do a speculative type of a trade on it. Tesla, do I have an entry signal on Tesla? Well, it's coming up on resistance. I probably want to see it break that resistance at 260 first. Okay, Google, entry signal. Okay, yeah, it might be breaking through resistance today and it has high volume. See, you can certainly go ahead and do your trade. Amazon, is it an entry signal? Maybe not. It looks like 155 will be probably a resistance level. Bank of America, is it an entry? Well, we don't quite have the bounce, but we'll see. Maybe in the next day or two, we might get that. Okay, nothing to do. Coinbase, COIN, there's an entry signal. Boy, this thing's just running, right? You go back and hopefully at this point in time, right, you've looked back, you've drawn lines and looked for your entry signals and points like that. See if it's meeting that criteria and get into it if it has, or wait until you do get that entry signal. So it does look like it's breaking through this resistance level today, about 162.50. Probably will do it with some higher volume. So, that's just kind of the routine. That's the process. Going through the stocks in your list. Now, I went through this a little bit slower than I normally would because I was talking about and kind of explaining some of the things, right? If there was something, if I had a potential entry signal, then all of a sudden I slam on the brakes. And if I wanted to do a little bit more, let's take a look at it. Is it really meeting? And then do the trade? Absolutely. But if not, right, I would just basically spend maybe just a matter of seconds on each stock in there if I do not see something that's showing me that I might have a potential entry. And if it does, again, slam on the brakes, take a look at it in a little bit more depth and detail. But again, that's not going to take you 10 minutes to do, because you already are going through here on a daily basis and already know what you're expecting from the stock and what your entry signal will be. Okay. So does that make sense as far as that is concerned, folks? So in reality, in my when I'm going through my watch lists, even though there's 50, 60 stocks, it's really taking me just a couple of minutes to go through it. That many stocks, because I go through it that quickly. I already know the stocks in my watch list. I already know what I'm looking for, and I'm just seeing if at that point in time, that day that I'm looking at it, if it meets it or not. If it doesn't, move on. Matter of seconds. Okay. Now, again, just starting out, being new to it, you'll probably spend more time doing it until you feel more comfortable and get your routine down, and I'll start to understand things. All right. Then, next thing we'll look. Do you have, again, the entries and exit signals and then place your trades? Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So do we have? Let's go back to Apple. We talked about, do we have an entry on Apple right now? So we already said we did. We have a bounce. Okay. I just got out of a trade here on Apple. What day was this? This was last week. Oh, it was Friday. Actually, it was Saturday, because I did a covered call on it, and I was assigned. I was happy with the profit. I bought the stock at 186, sold it at 195, and made a profit on the stock. Okay. Do I throw the stock away? No, I don't. Because is Apple uptrending? Yes, it is. Is it bouncing off a support level? Yes, it is. Is it coinciding, that support level coinciding with that resistance back here? Yes, it is. All right. So I looked at it. I have an opportunity to do a trade. So all I have to do now is kind of figure this out. Now you could separate your watch list by, longer term trend trades or shorter term swing trades. It's up to you. And so when you're in your list, you already know what type of a trade you're going to do. Now, with this in mind, let's just say I want to do a longer term trend type of a trade on it. Okay, perfect. Long-term trend type of a trade on it. So I already have my entry signal on my bounce, my buy. And the reason I say trend trade, because I'm not trying to figure out a target. I'm not trying to figure out anything else along that line. I have an entry signal. I'm going to get into it. So let's go to the trade tab. And let me go ahead and minimize those. And so all we're going to do is click on the ask price. Okay. Now, Patty says, the better I get a reading charged, the faster the process goes. It took much longer when I was having to decode what I was seeing with candles and patterns. I'm still needing to grow in that skill. Yeah, because again, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. But again, folks, remember, if you're looking at the stocks in your watch list daily, you already have an idea of what you want to see that stock do. Right. So you might spend more time figuring out what your entry signal or in fact, you can even put it on the chart, right? You can put on the chart with a line or something like that, and you can make a note on here. I'm just going to come up here and say, let's do a note on here. And let's just say entry will be if it bounces up off support at where's my dollar sign, 195. Okay. Or 196, whatever it might be. And then you click OK. So you already have this on the chart. Okay. And it's sitting there for you to kind of help you, maybe give you an idea. Let me activate this and move it out of the way there so we can see it, right? And so, maybe you already have it. It is an entry if it bounces up off support of 195. Boom, you have that there. Okay, so it does help you with a little bit more information as you pull that chart up, as you look at it. But again, folks, if you spend a little bit more time at the very beginning, you have that stock in your watch list, you're going to have your clues and your cues and your rules already in place. And as you look at these daily now, nothing's going to change on that unless there's a drastic change in how the stock is moved. Then you reevaluate it at that point in time and make your decisions based off of that. Okay, so a couple little things that you can do to kind of speed the process up. And again, if you're looking at your stocks daily, you will become so familiar with them and what you're looking for. Okay, Randy, would you put a buy limit order for that, or is it just a note? I personally would just do a note with this, because if you go put a bunch of buy orders, a buy limit order, basically meaning is that you're buying it if it hits a certain price above what it's currently trading, that's great. That's great automation on it. But remember, every single time that you do a put in an order that is open to buy, it decreases the amount of money you have in your cash, in the cash account, right? And that you have available, even though it might not, you haven't purchased anything with it, your broker will be withholding the amount of money that would be for each one of those orders that you have. So you might think you have money and you wanted to do something and you don't. All right, but again, folks, you do with what works for you and you feel comfortable with. I don't like having a whole lot of open buy orders to get into something just for that fact for me. But if you wanted to do it, absolutely. Maybe if it's just one, sure. But be careful on that. Okay. All right. So we do have a buy order on here. The entry bouncing off up off support, the hold. And so because we have our order here. I clicked on the ask price and we have the order. Now we're not buying 100 shares because we'd be spending $19,700 to do that, right? So how many shares will we be able to purchase? Again, if we're following just kind of our basic, what we've been doing in following Charles, 5% of our account, we're talking about the paper money account, $100,000, that's $5,000. So we take $5,000 and we divide that by the current price of the stock of $197.36. 0.36, and that equals 25 shares. Okay, so we'll just change this to 25 shares. Okay, limit day, that's fine. Everything looks good. We'll confirm this thing and we'll send it off. We're buying 25 shares of Apple, $197.30. To open, we're spending $4,900, just a little over $4,900, and we'll send that off. And we got filled on it. Okay. 16037 said, having enough cash is always an issue for me. Sure. Patty, for swing trades, I put my T2 target, a reminder to move up my stop in the text box so that I don't have to go back to my notes. Fantastic. I love how you're using the tools to your advantage there, Patty. Jim, I inadvertently dipped in my margin on one of my trades. Well, that's kind of the benefit of having that margin in that scenario, kind of like your old overdraft protection and on your checking account on the bank. That's kind of what that's doing there. All right, so we're going to the monitor tab here. Where is Apple? Oh, I'm still staying with the A themes here, aren't I? Oh my goodness. This is kind of funny. I noticed this last week and I made a mention in one of my classes. We were going to trade B stocks this week. I forgot that. But no, Apple. So I have a note on here. And it was just something I said type notes. But again, we were out of the trade. But guess what? When I re-entered into a trade, it said I have notes from the previous trade. Okay, and I just use this as an example to show people how to type a note in here. But yeah, so if you had a trade, you got out of it and then got back in, your notes will still be here. Isn't that kind of cool? So maybe I'm going to, and then maybe you keep the notes of the first trade in there. If not, then you just want to do the current trade, you certainly could. So I'll just say here, bought in begin intermediate class um uh routines stock had bounce entry um I'm just going to go trend trade no target because I don't do targets on trend trades. I can put the date. What's today's date is 12/20/23. And then you want whatever else you wanted to put in there, and then you click it, and now you're saved on that. Now, so Betsy asks, how do you let yourself know when earnings reports are announced? Well, it tells you on the chart. Okay, at least with Thinkorswim, if you have your icons on down below here, you can certainly do. If you have some space from the current day to the right hand side, it'll show you when earnings are coming up, or if it's being announced, or has been announced. But if you have a position, okay, and you look at least on the Thinkorswim platform, then it will show up here and give you that little red and blue icon. Red meaning it's a conference call. So it will start to show up here. I think it's about the week before the earnings announcement. I think it's when it'll start to show up, and the positions you already have. But if it's in something you're thinking about, again, having this space on here will give you that opportunity to see anything that's upcoming. Okay. All right. So there we go. Daily routine. Feel pretty comfortable with that? Now, again, you come up with your routine and what is important for you. Not everybody will have the same routines, just like not everybody has the same rules. But just like your rules, your routine, you can tweak your routine. If you feel like you're missing something, but make sure you're putting your routine in the proper time frame. Okay. Now, one thing you might notice that I don't have on a daily routine that I might have on my weekly routine. And what will be my weekly routine? Now, again, going back to the daily and weekly, it doesn't matter when you do them. What on the daily routine doesn't matter what time of day you do it. Just be consistent. Now, I know sometimes things might happen and you might not be able to do your routine at your normal routine time, but if you go back and then do a routine at some later point in the day or earlier point in the day, that's fine. Okay. But so with that said, with that situation, go back to your weekly routine. It doesn't matter when you do your weekly routine, but I would say, probably either do it at the beginning of the week or the end of the week or weekend, whenever you want to do it. I'd say don't probably do it in the middle of the week because half the week's already gone. So either the beginning and weekend. There we go. Now, what are some of the things with the weekly routines? And why? Because these will take a little bit more time as we're doing them. Okay, so you take the stocks out of your watch list and no longer meet your criteria, whatever it might be. Okay, maybe the fundamentals change and you have a watch list that you're looking to do long-term trades on. Buy and holds, trend trades. Now maybe the earnings announcement came out and it no longer meets the criteria for that. You don't have a trade on it because remember, the watch list is what you're looking to enter to buy. So if no longer meets the criteria, fundamentals, technicals, anything else that you don't like about it, take it out of your watch list. Next, search for new stocks to add to your watch list. Okay, now you notice this is one of the things that I was talking about that I'm not doing on a daily basis. Okay, not doing, I'm doing it on a weekly basis, because if I'm taking stocks out of my watch list, I'm going to look for things to replace them with. Mark, how often do you redo fundamentals on the watch list? Well, you know what? That's a great question, because how often do the fundamentals change on a stock, folks? Quarterly, right? Yep, Steve and Gil, there you go. They change quarterly. So, you know, that criteria is probably not going to change that quickly, but if it's in my watch list and I know it had an earnings announcement, I'll be looking at that for that stock at that point in time when that changes. So, good question. So search for your new stocks to add to your watch list. Whether you're doing it off your brokerage website, whether you're doing it off of some financial website on the internet, you know, like Yahoo or FinViz or some other place that allows you to do it, then you use your criteria to search for new stocks. Okay. So what does this look like? Okay. How would we do this? Well, again, if I went back to my watch list, I need to try to create my recreating the watch list that I have, but I'm not. Well, I'm sectors, ETFs, stocks. I don't think I have something that I could use. But anyway, what I would do is just go through my list and look for any changes and trends. Okay, if trend changes, then I take it out if it's a bullish stock. Okay, if it's a bullish watch list, excuse me, bullish watch list, no longer bullish, meaning that the trend has changed, lower highs, lower lows, I'll take it out. Now, the next thing that I would do on the weekly routine, whether it is, again, I do it at the beginning of the week, end of the week, over the weekend. Now I look for stocks to add to the watch list. Okay. So what do we do? Okay, maybe you pull up, you know, maybe you use FinViz. Maybe I'm looking to replace longer term types of trades. Okay, maybe I took some out. Okay. So right off the bat, Agilent Technologies, does that look like it's bullish? Sure. Now, again, with my search criteria, I do have some basic fundamental that I'm putting in there. Now, again, I'm just doing profitable on most of my fundamental, but if you wanted to, you can actually just bring up the Yahoo Finance at this point in time and just do a quick fundamental analysis on it. So Agilent, okay, type in A, bring it in here. Oops, that's not the one. Hate when it doesn't do what I want it to do. Okay, then I'll just do the analysis tab here. And we'll go to the earnings history really quick. Beat. So it beats. So that's a 4 out of 4, right? Most recent information is not higher than the previous information, so that's a no. But goes from 571 for the current quarter to current year down to 547, so that's not looking good. And then from 641 down to 605. So that's a 4 NN on that. So is it good enough for you to go ahead and put into your watch list? Sure. I mean, you know, it's not bad. If you're looking for perfect, then it doesn't meet perfect, but you know, a 4 NN isn't bad. You know, maybe we'd like to see this last one be a Y as for a yes, but again, you know, you are still going to have your own rules what you would do. Whoops. So, you know, hey, that's going to be something that you're going to look at. Oh, wow. I looked at this just before class today of this search, and it only came up with 82 stocks. So between the time that I looked at it and right now, it's almost double the amount of stocks that it brought up there. Gary, do you have watch lists focused on options and trend and swing, or are they all together? No, I actually will do my longer term and shorter term watch lists separate. And whether, because you can still do options longer term or shorter term as well. But if you wanted to break them up for these are option types of candidates only compared to stock candidates, it's up to you, whatever is most comfortable for you. But again, I would highly recommend against getting too many watch lists, because if you have too many, you won't look at them, and then there's no point of having them. Okay. So, so there we go. Like Autodesk, right? Wow, looking pretty good. Maybe, I hear test systems might starting to move in a direction you want it to. You're still going to run through your process and your analysis and do your weeding out. And this is why this will take a little bit longer. This is why this is not a daily routine. This is why this is a weekly routine. Because folks, how long is it going to take you to go through 143 stocks? Steve moving to Schwab. I lost all my paper trades. Reach out to them, because I've heard some folks say that they've been able to get those restored and things like that. But I would do that. Mark, can you Vince, can you save your search somewhere? Do you have to reproduce? You can do a couple different ways. You can get everything set up as you want, and then save it as bookmark it on your browser, or you can get everything as you want, and then come up here to my presets and click on that, and then you can save it, and then it has them all named there, and then you can bring them up anytime you want. Okay. Now, so then you go and you find the ones that meet your criteria. Now, again, you might have a certain number of stocks in your watch list that you do not want to exceed, because it'd be too many. So that's another weeding out process that you'd want to do, and pick the ones that you feel are the very best. Now, again, today, right, 140, I went to 139. So 4 stocks dropped off of this list just when I went from one page to the next. But again, you can see how this is going to take up a little bit more time, and why this is not going to be our daily routine type of a thing. Right off the bat, you can just look at some of the stocks that just maybe just do not meet the eye criteria, that you're just looking at and you're just kind of like, if I had my choice between this one and that one, I would choose this one type of a thing, right? So do your weeding out process. After you do the weeding out process, you however you want to do it, and write them down on a piece of paper and add them into your watch list, or do a copy and save it and bring it over that way. However you want to do it, you do it. Okay. Now, weekly routine. Hi, Steve. I lost mine too. Schwab told me they do not save paper accounts from TD. I've heard some differing opinions on that, Rick. I guess it just depends on who maybe you talk to. I've even had students here say that that on the paper trading they did do it. They were able to restore it. So, all right. So let's go now to our monthly routine. Now, again, our monthly routine, as you can probably expect, is going to be longer, take up more time. And this is why we wouldn't do this on a daily routine. Okay? Because it's going to take more of your time. So you, again, need to figure out when you'll do your monthly routine. Start of the new month, end of that month, whatever you're going to do. This is something that a lot of people tend to overlook and don't do. Okay? But this is extremely important. First and foremost, review your trades for the month. Now, how many of you actually review your trades? Okay. I see a lot of people saying yes, and I do, me. Okay. Couple no's coming in, just starting. All right. I'm going to take it a little, expand it a little bit, take it a little deeper. Do those even work together, expanding and taking it deeper? I don't think those two work together, do they? Okay. I'll let you choose whichever one that you think this is going to fall under. For those of you who say you review your trades, how many of you actually just look at it and say, okay, I reviewed it? You know, hey, I had a trade. I went back for the month, looked at just looked at my trades. Oh, and I saw, okay, they made money or they didn't make money. And you call that a review. So you're saying, no, you just don't look at your trade to see if they made money or lost money. Okay, because there are some people who just think, okay, it's that should be a routine. I've heard that should be something I should be doing. They go back and they look at it. But the real purpose of reviewing your trades is to help you understand if what you are doing is consistent, and consistency allows you to be profitable in the market. Okay, and Chris, look at the charts with them. Okay. So, biggest things that you are going to do when you review your trades. Did you follow your rules? Now, some of you are saying, well, yeah, sure, or kind of, I guess, or I don't have any rules right now that I'm following. That's fine. But folks, this is one of the things that will help you in the rule setting process. Did you follow your rules? Not just did the trade make money or lose money, because you can have a trade that you did not follow your rules that made money. That does not make it a good trade. Okay, a trade making money or losing money is not a good or a bad trade. It's whether you made or lost money and you followed your rules. Every single time you followed your rules, whether you made money or lost money, that's a good trade. So you have to go ahead and make sure that that the trades that you did, you followed your rules. And if you did not follow your rules, hopefully you made notes as to why you did not follow your rules. And so that would be more kind of that speculative type of a trade, right? So the purpose behind this is, again, if you're trying to use some rules and create some rules, you won't know really if those rules are working for you unless you go back and review them. Okay? Unless you go back and review them. Now, and so Gil, the accountant, and Gil coming out there, giving us some great advice on some of that information. Thank you for that. So, do you need to make changes to your rules? We're just not going to go in there and haphazardly make changes because one trade didn't do what we expected it to do. We go and we look at those to make sure that if we're going to make a rule change, that something has happened more often than not that's causing us to want to make the change. So maybe you're setting your stops too close and you're getting stopped out a lot of the time before the stock makes its move, right? That's something we can look at. Then we can go back now with information at hand. When we go back and review the trades, look at your notes, see what you did, and then you can make the change. Or making a change to what your entry's looking like, or your position sizes or targets or things along that line. Now, with that said, this is something that you will probably want to start to do if you're not already, is use some sort of trading journal. Now, I know your broker will have kind of like this trading journal, keep track of your trades, and you can look at them and even close trades and things along that line because they have to keep it by law, so you have all that information. But that in and of itself isn't good enough to really see if, number one, your rules are working, or number two, that you actually followed your rules. Okay. So Frank says, I changed my rules after starting to attend the classes. Yep, exactly. Because now you're learning more. You're learning more who you are and what makes sense for you. Now, kind of going back, if you are not using some kind of trading journal, then you need to. Now, we have under our resources a stock investing worksheets. I'm going to click on that. And we have down here at the bottom a stock trading journal. Now, folks, how many of you, I'm just going to click on this and download it. How many of you actually use this stock trading journal from the website? Okay, see a bunch of yeses, love it all the time. Okay, now again, you don't need to use it. You can create your own. Okay, it's up to you, right? When nobody's forcing you, but you definitely want to make sure that you're using something. Okay, I just pulled this up here, popped up again, enable editing. So all you're doing is putting in the information, your entry date. If you create your own, there's nothing. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't, like this fancy right here, right? We've got things on here that kind of keeps track, overall running number of your trades, winners, losers, and things along that line. But if you just wanted to do, hey, just a simple one, put this information in, create your own, or find one on the internet, you can do that as well. Nothing wrong with that. Frank says I use Notebook. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Crystal says I downloaded it. It didn't work. Don't know why it didn't work there for you. Now, but if you trying to use it and it doesn't seem to be working or helping out, one of the places you can go is we go to live classes, intermediate, advanced class. Then you scroll down. I believe Rob taught a class on here. Oh, there it is, right there. August 24th, right there. Stock Trading Journal. He just kind of brought that up, showed you how to use it and things along that line. So that's a great resource for you if you're using this. If you don't want to use it, again, no problem. But the biggest thing that you are wanting to do, okay, make sure that you're making notes, and this is why we have kind of a note column. Reason for entries, reason for exits. Now, this might not be enough space for everybody to put that information in, so maybe you might do it off to the side or something, but put the reason for your entry. Fundamentals, solid. Bounced up off support, got a hold, broke through resistance with volume, or say didn't meet my rules, speculative trade. What rules didn't it meet? So when you come back here on your monthly basis and run through it, now you have the reasoning behind why you got into the trade and the reasoning behind when you got out of the trade. Okay. So if you don't put in the reasoning, it's a little bit harder for you to determine what your thought process was when you did the trade. You can just look at it and say, oh, it looks like it was bouncing above support, or maybe it didn't. You go back and now you can see, why didn't I follow my rules? Even though you didn't put anything in here that determined that you didn't follow all of your rules, right? Then you can go back and look at it and say, oh, right, I didn't really get a bounce off of that, or it really didn't break through resistance, or it didn't have enough volume, or whatever it might be. Right now you can go back and get yourself in the same type of mindset when you're reviewing it, because you will always bring it up and look at the chart, right? You'll always bring it up and just determine to see if it followed the criteria that you had. Now, the only thing that you wouldn't be able to go back and track unless you put it down in your reason was the fundamentals at that point in time. Now, if you wanted to do a quick fundamental and just say it was a 4YY or a 3NY or whatever it might be on there, you certainly can do that as well. Because once, unless you've saved it on a worksheet or something like that, you won't know if you wanted to follow and see if it really met fundamental criteria. But this is the whole reason why we want to make sure that on that monthly basis, you're going back and just to see, number one, if it's working for you. Number two, if you're following your rules. Because if you don't know if you're really following your rules, you might think you're following your rules and you're not, without going back and looking at them at the trades. You might think you're following, but you don't know for sure. And that's the difference between somebody who can confidently say, yes, these are the rules, and I have success with them, to somebody like, oh yeah, I'm following my rules, and I for the most part have success. Okay. Now, what does it goes to the total credit? So everything that is in the darker shaded green fills in automatically. Okay. So for example, like today, we did a trade on Apple. So if we were going to fill this out, we would do this, right? And you can put the stock name in, or you put the symbol AAPL. How many shares did we buy? 25, I think, right? Let's go back to the monitor page. Apple 25 shares at 197.28. Okay, so we'll go 25 shares at 197.28, I believe it was. Okay, so boom, there we go. Fills in the total cost. Reason for entry. It was uptrending, bounce off support, and we didn't look at fundamentals, but we could have said, I'm just going to say if it was a 4YY fundamentals, okay, whatever it might be. But put in the information that is going to be relevant for you to allow you to get back into the same mindset. Okay, bounce up off support, or if you want to do just co-hold, absolutely. Okay, and then once you're in the trade, it automatically will give you an O for that position is still open, or a C if you've closed it out. So if we did close it out, let's just say that, well, actually, you know what? Now, let's just say that instead of 12.23, we got into this at 11.23, a month ago. Okay. And let's just say that on the exit day, we got out of it today. Well, yesterday, 12.19. Okay. And then we'll just put our exit price. So I'm just going to say it was profitable. We made money. So we got out of the 236.12 or 21. Okay. And then we hit just tab it over, and everything else will fill in for you there. Okay. So that's basically total credit when you sold those shares at that price, total cost, what you paid when you bought the shares at that price, figures it all out, gives you your profit loss, and then you'd put your reason for exit. Okay, and whatever the reason might be, right? Tired. Well, so I'm just gonna say tired of making too much money on this stock. Okay, whatever it might be, right? Or it hit. I had a target of, or even in the reason of exit, before you exit it, you can put your target on there, and and then and have that in there. Yeah. So whatever was the reason for exiting, that if you've already closed out the trade, when you go back and review, then you have the again the mindset, trying to get back into the mindsets you had for that exit. Now, if your trade is still open on that monthly review, still make a part of your review. You want to review everything. Okay. Steve says, don't we wish? Tired of making too much money on the stock? Yeah, don't we wish? Alice says, if you sell a partial position, what do you do? Then you have to, you split your buy, if that's the case. If you're doing something that, or just on this one, if you don't want to go and create your own trading journal that's a little bit more fancy and has some more features where it allows you to do partial shares and things along that line. But if you already know going in, like for example, like on a swing trade where you have a T1, if you're using a T1 and a T2, then you would have to split that up. Okay. So, with that situation, let's just say 25 shares isn't a nice, easy number to split, but let's just say we did 24 shares instead. Okay. And then half of 24, you're going to sell when it reaches a T1. Then you just put 12, and then you do another entry just down below, all the same entry information at that point in time, and split it up. CM, can you insert lines in order to split later? I don't think so. On this, just because it's kind of locked on here. I don't believe you can. Nope. It's basically doesn't allow us to insert anything. Oh, Alice says yes, you can add lines. Okay, that's interesting. I'm doing right here. Doesn't look like I can insert lines, but maybe maybe you can do it some other way. But all right, it is protected. Yep, it is protected. So there you go. Need to have a trading journal, folks. Whether you use this one, whether you create it yourself, whether you do a bunch of sticky notes and have them stuck all over the place, whatever system works for you, because you need to be able to go back and review your trades to actually see if you have rules, you're following them, and those rules work. And if they're not working, hopefully you can identify either the cause of it not working. Maybe your entry rule isn't exactly what you think it should be, or maybe you're getting in too soon, or maybe you're getting in too late, and you can refine and adjust those rules as you go on. Okay. Is this file downloadable? Yes, I just downloaded it. I just did that process with you folks. Okay. As we went to, again, the resources, stock investing worksheets, you click on it, stock trading journal, it downloads it. And depending on your browser, again, this is Google Chrome, your downloads will come up here. It used to be a few months back, it was showing up down here, but they changed it to up here. It downloads, you click on it like this, boom, and you can download it onto your computer. And you can, you'll have to enable the editing on it, and then you can save it. Give it a name and save it. Okay, so on the panes, education, resources, stock investing worksheets, down at the bottom, stock trading journal. Okay. And save as, yep, when you save it, you save as whatever name you want to save it under, and then you're good to go. All right. So for those of you who maybe didn't have routines to begin with, was this helpful? Pointing you down a path to start the process. So you're not forgetting things. You're being consistent, time in and time out, daily, weekly, monthly. Now, again, things that we just talked about, you can expand those if you want. But the whole process of routines is to speed our process up. Okay. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get, the more you'll know your stocks. Because folks, in reality, that daily routine where you go through your stocks, look for entry signals. I don't care how many stocks you have on your watch list. As I said, I have 50 or 60 on my watch list. I can go through those and look at them for those entry points in a matter of just a couple of minutes. And I'm not talking 5. I'm talking 1 to 2 to go through those. Now, again, if there's an entry signal, I'll have to stop and take a look at it. Or if you're really bullish, everything's giving me entry signal, then depending on funds and what I want to do, I might have to make some decisions there. But if you really cannot go through the positions that you have in your watch list to look for buying opportunities in just a few minutes, and then you probably have too many watch lists, too many stocks in the watch list. Once that happens, then you won't look at them, and then there's no point of having the watch lists. Okay. So again, up to you. You kind of modify it for you, but at the beginning, it will always take longer, but the whole process is just to speed it up and use your time wisely with that. Now, how many of you, so I see a lot of you saying that who haven't had routines before, the importance of it. How many of you who had routines or thought you had routines now maybe can see where those routines may have been lacking a little bit? Now, again, I didn't just went over some basic things along that line, or what you might want to do in the time frame, right? Between a difference between a daily routine, a weekly routine, monthly routine type of a thing. Okay. So, what archive class covered the trading journal? That, Fred, was in the intermediate advanced class. So we go over quick links, stock investing live classes, intermediate advanced class. You click on there, need to scroll down to, I believe it was in August. Yep, right there, August 24th. Rob Weiler goes over the basics of how to use that trading journal. Now, again, folks, you don't need to use our trading journal. If you're really good at Excel, you can create your own or just write it in a spiral notebook if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. But the most important thing is to keep notes as to why you did the trade, the reasoning behind it there. Okay. Very good. So, and you know what? Let's do something. We have a couple minutes left here. I know, but for those of you saying, but I thought this was only supposed to be an hour. You know, my classes, if it's under 4 hours, we still have a couple minutes left, right? Why don't we do this? Okay. Let's look at a trade. Toll Brothers, TOL. There's always a couple minutes left. Okay. Gary time, says Jim. Is that kind of like warp time where things just slow down and you have all the time in the world? So, Toll Brothers. Well, let's do this first and foremost. Let me go back here. We'll go to the internet. We'll pull up Toll Brothers and Yahoo Finance. We'll scroll down. Okay. Just quick fundamentals. Looks pretty good. 4 out of 4 on there. Most recent information does not exceed the previous, so that's a no. But analyst revisions 1177 up to 1216, 1235 up to 1276. That's a 4 NY. Does that meet criteria that we want to see? Alan says, so much for routines, Gary. Throwing it at me now, aren't you? I see how you are. Okay, so let's bring this up. So meets routine, meets fundamental. Okay, looks pretty good. So do an earnings announcement. I just had it beginning of the month, so it's in the past. Okay, uptrending stock looks good. Would we feel comfortable doing a trend trade on this? And Linda also said toll 68%. And Linda, our P2P expert. So meets criteria, doesn't it? Yeah, trend trade looks pretty good. If you buy and hold, yeah. If you wanted to do a swing trade, you can certainly do it. We have the option for all three. So whichever you feel more comfortable with. Okay. Haslick a hold. Okay. Bouncing up off of that support level, 100. Like that. Let's do a trade on it. We'll go to our trade tab. Again, I have it linked together so I don't have to keep typing my symbol in every place I go. So we'll click on the ask price. Is trend trade the same as saying buy and hold, Scott? No, it's not. Those are two different types of trades. Buy and hold is just kind of your long-term approach, and you might be holding those for months to years or longer if it's still going in the direction of meeting what you want to see, or you might think of them as long-term core positions. I think Charles calls those legacy positions. With a trend trade, every trend is going to end at some point in time. With a trend trade, we're not willing to take the big moves to the downside, so we want to get out when the trend ends. Okay. So Gil says, I told as a buy and hold candidate. That's great. That's great. Joe says, analyst very good, but don't see redoable gains. Okay. And if that's part of your analysis on it, then don't do it. Okay. But again, why isn't this, why can't this continue to move up? I mean, it certainly has some nice long runs. And I guess at any point in time through these nice long runs, people are saying it's not, it can't continue. But folks, again, if something meets criteria and the rules that you have to do a trade and you get a signal to enter that trade, take the trade. Because you're not following your rules if you don't. Now, if there's some reason why you wouldn't have Toll Brothers on your watch list, then that's the process that you'll be using to weed it out and not put it in your watch list. Does that make sense? But if you have something that's in your watch list and it gives you an entry signal, take the entry signal. That's what your rules are for. So Joe, reasonable, sorry. No, that's fine. You know, again, that's why the market works, folks. Everybody has a different opinion, a different view of what they think will happen in the market, right? Somebody is buying a stock because it's going up. Somebody's selling you that stock because they think it's going to go down. You have two different opinions. That's the reason the market works, folks. James, Toll Brothers is very big into building retirement communities. Yes, and we're just having an explosion of that age group, aren't we? Zach, would you enter stop but not a target? That's correct. All right, so let's do this. How many shares can we buy? Well, we know we're not going to be able to buy 100 shares, so we take the $5,000 of the money that we're willing to use, and we divide it by the current price of the stock, which is 103.94. So we're going to probably be able to buy like 45 shares or something like that. Oh, yeah, I hit clear. Stupid me. All right, $5,000 divided by, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I tell my boys all the time, we don't use that word. 0.94 equal, not a clear, 48 shares. Okay. So we'll change this to 48 shares. And we'll limit that and we'll confirm this. buy 48 tolls at 103.93 to open. It's green, so it's a buy order. There we go. Send that off. We'll get billed. All right. So why limit order, Marty? Well, because I was doing it right now. I was going to put that order in as quickly as possible. I could have changed it to market. If you wanted to change it to market because the market was open, you certainly could have. But Toll Brothers isn't a illiquid stock. So I felt pretty confident I'd get filled at that price anyway. So let me go back to monitor tab. We'll go and we'll put a note on here. Bot and begin intermediate class trend, not a rend, but a trend trade. Hold or bounce off support. Fundamentals. In fact, I'll even do this. Fundamentals pulls for NY. No target. Okay, so hit the save on there. Then we're in. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got 2 trades in today. That's pretty cool. One was in the process of going through our watch list, which wanted to show you the routine side of it, and then the one that I found a little bit earlier this morning, taking a look at it. With my remaining 2 minutes. What do you mean the remaining 2 minutes? How do I add a note tab? Says Michael. You would have to come up in here to your little gearbox. Okay. Click on that. And then on this box that pops up, type in notes and you'll add it. You know, either double clicking or clicking and dragging, whatever, get it over to the right side, and that's where you put your notes in. And again, folks, remember, we do have all the tutorials using some of the basic functions of the Thinkorswim platform on the Charles Payne's education website, our website, and the tutorials and the underneath resources. Again, great to go through that if you haven't and look at some of those basic uses. We do teach you the basics. We don't teach you a lot of the other things because it's not our platform. So it's not our responsibility to teach you everything about the Thinkorswim platform. So you'd reach out to them in that one. Okay. Joe, why not use risk to reward ratio in trend trading? Because you don't know what your reward is going to be. Patty, I deleted the days column because it took up space. Sure, and that's solely for option trading. Why not use risk 19%? I don't know what you mean by 19%. Is that what you're looking for to make on your trend trade? Okay, but what happens if you're over 19%? I don't put a target on trend trading. Why would I want to get out before the trend ends? Same with the buy and hold. Okay, you use 10%. Well, then you are limiting what you're going to be making on it. I mean, again, you can. Again, folks, remember, you are going to set up your rules and the plans and the things that you will use to meet your criteria, meet your risk tolerance. And if you, again, at this point in time, feel more comfortable doing that on a longer term trade, then certainly you can do that. But hopefully, okay, so folks, once you have a plan in place and you start using that plan, this is one of the reasons of the routine, going back and checking those monthly things, not only to see how your trade did, but see if a rule change for the most part would have allowed you to have even better results by changing what your exits might be or changing what your entries might be and those types of things. So it's a process. It really is, folks. It's a process, and until you start to feel more and more comfortable, and your risk will change the more you're involved with it, the more your understanding of who you are as a trader. Kind of going back to those 3 pillars, kind of going back to, I think it was last week. Well, right, we talked about that in last week's class. So, but keep plugging along with it, moving forward, and if that's what you want to do, then by all means go ahead and do it. So, what about a stop loss? Lanny asks. Okay, didn't put a stop on here, did I? But what I would usually do is put it in this situation, a trend trade. I'd put it 5% below support. So in this situation, my support's 100. I'd put it 5% below 100, which would be $95. So with that said, we can do it right now. Let's go to Toll Brothers. I'll do a create a closing order with stop. Brings it up. Automatically has my shares there. I'll change that, $95. And I make that a GTC. Then I confirm. Placing a sell. Toll Brothers will stop, $95 GTC to close. Looks good. None of this stuff below it matters. And we'll send that off. Now we'll go back to the monitor tab. There's our order. Fred, since you don't have a defined target on a trend trade, how do you decide if it's time to get out? You must have some criteria. Well, when the trend stops. How do we know when the trend stops? When it stops creating higher highs and higher lows. When you get lower highs and lower lows, that's definitely a sign the trend has stopped. Some folks might look at saying, well, right through here, we have similar highs and similar lows. That's not an uptrend anymore, but it's not a downtrend, right? Some folks might say, oh, I'm really in it just for growth. That's not growing. Maybe they exit if they get, 2, 3 similar highs, similar lows. It's up to the individual how they want to do that. Some might place a trail stop on it or move a stop up below the price of the stock or a moving average in that situation. But yeah, everybody will be just a little bit different in how they exit. But again, it's a trend trade. We don't know how much higher and how long it's going to continue to move in that direction. So we do need to understand what it is. So the entry stops there, but if it keeps going up, right, boom, boom, like this, and then maybe it starts to give us lower highs and lower lows, maybe that's your signal to get out. Or if the moving average, it breaks below that moving average, if you're using that, then it's time to get out. Randy, isn't that part of your daily routine to look for how the trend is behaving on the chart? You got it. That's exactly what the part of your daily routine is. Mark, you'll have to ask Greg if he wants to do that, but I can do it for you if you want me to. Okay, I'm gonna do it really quick. We're kind of coming up on our time here, but sorry, Rock. Oh, now you're just messing with me, aren't you? All right, I'm just gonna do this really quick, okay? Just so there we go. Okay, boom. Next one. Whoops. Oh, I didn't have that last one in place. Okay, there you go. Take it again. Boom. There's your screenshot. And again, folks, if you don't have it, you can always pull the recording up and take your screenshots there as well. Weekly routine. There you go. That's your weekly routine. Yeah, they are the same initials. We get mixed up a lot. Greg and I have worked together for a long time, a couple decades, and we've always get mixed up. Okay, there's your weekly routine. There's your monthly routine right there. Okay. All right. So with that said, let's wrap it up for the day. Create your routines, whatever they're going to be. Make sure you have your daily, your weekly, your monthly. Put those appropriate events that you will be doing in the appropriate time frames. Now, if you do everything on your daily routine and you have, time left and you're twiddling your thumbs, and you might do some other things. Okay. doesn't mean that oh, I've done all my routines. Yeah, you know, if you wanted to go do something else with in the markets, you can do that. But you want to make sure that your routines you do first, and you speed that process up so that you're not spending all day doing it or half your day doing it. Okay, practice trading in your paper trading account. Okay, continue your education by attending the classes. Okay, now the beginner intermediate class next year, we won't have a class next week, but it will start up on the first week of January. Well, it'll be Rob Weiler. He'll be the one that will be starting the new series for that quarter. So make sure you come to there. And folks, if I don't see you in any other classes before the weekend, hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Enjoy your holidays. Get together with loved ones, friends, family, or somebody else. Be nice and to somebody else, but enjoy. Have a wonderful holiday. This is a fantastic time of year. But thank you, folks. Now again, remember, if you have a question or need help with the paper money platform, reach out directly to Thinkorswim at Schwab. There's their information. Other questions, we have our daily Q&As throughout the week, or the email there to ask a trading question for the instructors. Next week, we will have a very limited class schedule. We are not open on Christmas, which is Monday. We actually, well, they're being very generous to us, and we are closed on Tuesday, the 26th. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will just have the stock and option Q&As on there, okay? So keep that in mind. You'll get the emails about that. You'll see the banners on the websites and things along that line. But thanks, folks. Appreciate you joining me and bearing with me through these series of classes. Love having you all on here. You are, each one of you, fantastic. And you're the ones that bring and make these classes what they are. All right, folks? So have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, as I said, if I don't see you before the holidays, have a great Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.